And we're live. Whew. Welcome back, folks. Sit back, relax, sip your whatever you've got. Your water, your beer, your coffee. And get back into the Wildlands mood. So, tonight we are down 2 players who just had a very long drive and are too exhausted to join us. But I think we're going to, well, we'll see what happens. But they will be along, their characters will be along for the ride, and the players will hopefully rejoin us next week. So, what happened last time? Last time, you guys fought for 4 real-time hours against a pair of druids, their undead minions, and the Hatred Weed, guardian of the sacred mushroom pools in the very heart of Everspore Forest. And between traveling and battling the night through and catching your breath, the sun rose, illuminating this stunning glade in all of its vibrant fungal colors, just as the forest came back alive after its blighted and cursed state. Quite a lot of other things happened. For example, the Shadow abandoned Bella and Breath, saying to come and meet him at the Fortress of Fetters in the Plain of Shadow, in the Shadowlands, if they ever wanted to deal with him again, or to fight him. Let's see. During this, after the battle, well, the battle itself was kind of incredible, including spectacular spells from Finn, some pretty epic survival from various other members of the party, some tremendous combat from Vapos and Breath and Mavra. A lot happened, but you eventually prevailed, and afterward, the elder of the Circle of Spores druids, the eldest, Wodwax, gave you guys a bag of mushrooms of all different shapes and sizes and colors, some of them glowing, others spitting magic sparks from within the bag. And he also gave Finn a particular mushroom that he said was a dried piece of a void cap that he had used or enchanted, and which, if dropped in the Deep Lurk Lake, would enable the Circle of Spores druids, that would enable this circle to cleanse the lake of the foul pollution that Finn had been asking for help with. Now, you guys had a long night with only a short rest in it. You are going to be fatigued if you wish to set out immediately upon a journey. The Circle of Spores druids aren't necessarily all that interested in hanging out with you anymore. They don't seem to bear you any ill will, despite you having had to fight the two sentinels who guard the pools, as the curse that had been laid upon their minds has now been lifted, and the gloom is back in control of Everspore. And they are quite pleased about that. And they are off doing various, druid activities, taking care of the forest and its creatures, and singing in tune with the chorus, which seems to be the voices of the living, of the mushrooms, the semi-sentient mind that runs through them all. You don't have any necessarily obligations there. Woadwax continues to be the one most interested in talking to you, but he is sending off animal messengers to tell those creatures, well, particularly Deciveth, to come back, as the gloom will be able to cleanse her of the fiery curse. Any questions about any of that? Okay.
Not for me.
Only quick question I have is when the gloom takes back over, obviously I know there's like the restoration, but does Finn, that was marked by the map change, does Finn notice any other kind of changes in the surrounding areas as the gloom kind of regains power?
Yeah. Excuse me, I gotta sneeze. I might sneeze at any second here. There's all this, there's all the background noise that I was playing, and that continues on all of the creatures all around. But Finn, you sense a quickening and a kind of a shift in the forest that's how do I put it? There's a singular mind at work again. It was kind of untethered, chaotic nature before, but you didn't even realize it. You didn't pick up on the change until something changed. You didn't pick up on that it was meant to be different. And now that the gloom has regained her power in its power in the region, you definitely sense this entity's mind kind of directing the forest, directing the fungal forest once again.
Fantastic.
Indeed. If you guys would like to set out, you will be fatigued, and you might even get more fatigued, or perhaps you'd like to spend some time resting and enjoying the forest.
Yeah, Finn would be more than happy to camp. Probably want a little bit of distance, at least like a mile or so, just away from the people that we just fought.
Sure. Yeah.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah, even if they seem pretty chill right now, it just feels weird.
Yeah, they're all off, kind of reanimating corpses that you destroyed. Filling them full of the chorus once again.
Yes, perhaps a bit of distance would be for the best.
Okay. Well, Woadwax will show you guys. Will happily show you guys an area where you won't be disturbed.
Sounds great.
I think you know what Finn would ask Woodwax as he asks for directions.
Woadwax is cool with it if you want to fish in
Fantastic.
some of the pools, just not in the sacred pools.
Of course.
Well, go ahead and make a fishing check. What did I have you roll? A skill roll and a D100?
Yeah, it's actually I have a fishing gear that I got advantage and proficiency in. So I'll go ahead and do that.
So, in a pool held in the divot of a large cup-shaped mushroom, an enormous tree-sized mushroom. Oh my gosh, another incredible roll. So go ahead and add that to your D100 roll. Achieving a 99. You find something very unusual. And you catch something very rare. Let's see. So you catch something called a fungal anemone. It's a misnomer because it's actually a fish with a tail and fins, but it has spines and a blobby kind of shape like an anemone. And it only lives in mushroom pools.
Oh, fantastic. How large is it?
It's about the size of my head.
Cool. Finn will study it while trying to keep it as close to in its own environment as possible, like even holding it back inside the water to not take it too far out of its environment. Okay. He'll spend however long it takes to study it appropriately before releasing it back to where it came from.
Okay. You make a study of the creature, and its slightly poisonous spines. Not bad enough to hurt you unless you tried to eat it. And toss it back in, I suppose. It changes color several times while you're studying it.
Yeah, he's just marking down, like rapidly writing in a little journal that he has
under
all
F,
the various aquatic life.
Cool. What's this fish? Okay. You guys, you relax on a bed of and chairs grown of mushrooms, and you get to watch as Woadwax comes and goes, puttering about. There's the sights, the sounds, the smells of Everspore Forest, which are all quite stunning and incredible. And there's this ever-present gloom that's very peaceful. And in fact, you can hardly help but close your eyes and nap for most of the day. And assuming that you guys also sleep through the night, it will then be the next day, the 28th of Mand. Which turns out to be a beautiful sunny day. Woadwax is there to see you off. Oh, question. Do you guys want to eat any of the mushrooms that Woadwax keeps offering you?
Under no circumstances.
Or do you... Okay. Or you can mark off another day of rations. That dull fare, but keeps body and soul together. Actually, it's not that dull. It's just, the same thing all the time.
Yeah, Finn would be interested if other people were.
Yeah, I mean, we have to get up early tomorrow. So, probably not the best idea.
No, they can really take a lot out of you.
See, we used to have a party member from the Everspore Forest, and she may have, non-consensually drugged a few of us a few times, so we've kind of been down this road before.
Woadwax happily munches what he was offering you and falls into a eyes wide open sleep.
Finn will just kind of play with one of the edible mushrooms in his hands and look back at Bella. I suppose if you've got a party member who's walking around with these always, as you said before, always attached to herself, this certainly could probably alter your perception of what these things can do. From my own personal experiences, they've been very allowing for, I suppose I could even call it enlightenment, but even when it's not so serious, it's always at least a fun time.
Oh, it was definitely fun. It was maybe a little bit too much fun, if that makes sense.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. Too much fun.
Well, I guess it all depends on context.
I suppose it does.
All right. Well, the next day, would you guys like to pack up and set out? Or is there something else you'd like to do first?
I can't think of anything else we need to take care of here. We help the situation improve, and I think we're ready to move on.
Yeah, Finn will pack up everything and he'll be ready to go. You guys will notice the fishing pole that he did take out at the very back end of that fight the previous day. Notably is a very vibrant blue color, even though it still appears to be made out of wood. And that's the one that he kind of puts back in the wrapped up pouch that he carries on his back.
Ben, I forgive me if this is a bit intrusive, but I'm a bit curious about your fishing rods. There, you seem to have quite a few of them, and I think one of them is a different color now.
Well, if it's still blue, then it's still the same color it always was. But each individual fishing rod will certainly serve its own individual purpose based on the geography, based on the type of water, based on the type of fish that I'm searching for in particular. Each one has its own purpose, but one has significantly more meaning to me.
I see. That's very interesting. I must admit, I don't know very much about fishing or really even life on the sea. I mean, obviously, might expect a bit of proficiency around the water from my heritage, but the truth is, I haven't actually spent much time on the ocean.
I can understand that. The water is certainly separated from the life that lives within it. They seem like one individual being sometimes, but the water is the canvas in which the life splashes their art. And he'll take out the fishing pole again after kind of wrapping it back up, and he'll take it out, and like I said, it's still by all appearances just a similar wood, though you notice it doesn't bend as much as he kind of waves it around a little bit. It's a very vibrant blue, kind of like a cresting wave with some white splashes throughout it, pun intended. And he'll kind of like hand it to you, Vapos, for you to hold it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take it.
This is called wave oak. So wave oak grows at the most unbelievable locations. It actually grows at the bottom of certain parts of the ocean, assuming that there's perfect light conditions and that the water salt content actually allows the continued growth of the wood itself. It's a particularly fantastic fishing wood or fishing rod wood, simply for its durability, as it's already been tested by both the water and the waves itself. All of the other, and he kind of like points to all of the other the 3 other rods he has in his little javelin compartment. All of the other rods eventually will rot from the inside, just based on small splashes of water as I continue to utilize them and bring them out from their compartments. But this particular rod should, unless it's mishandled, should never rot from that same misuse.
That's very interesting. I hadn't even known that there was a tree that grew like that.
It's not a tree per se. It's probably shouldn't be classified exactly as oak. Frankly, I'm not quite sure exactly where that name came from. Seems like a complete misnomer, but it grows where, as I said, you wouldn't expect it, and I'm lucky enough to have the ability to harvest it, as it were. This particular type of wood has actually saved my life plenty of times.
Well, I can certainly see why it would be so special to you.
There's not a lot of things that I carry around with me everywhere I go. As you can see, I tend to travel quite light. But the 2 trusty items that shall never leave my side as long as I'm alive would be this rod, and I'll pull out the looking lens, or the telescope,
Mm-hmm.
and this, which came from a Another dear friend.
See. Well, you might be able to guess I'm not much for being overly burdened with possessions myself.
Well, based on what I saw back there, you certainly don't need any possessions to kick some ass.
Oh, well, I that's something of a I've sort of been trying to develop my own fighting style. I learned some techniques from my original temple, but well, their teachings didn't really suit me, and so I've been trying to forge my own path a bit.
If you don't mind me asking, temple of whom?
Let's just say that I have a very intimate understanding of the enemy that we just helped protect Everspore from, as well as his allies.
Huh? I understand. Are you still... I'd assume not, based on what I saw back there, that you're still not aligned with them in any capacity.
No, not anymore. Not after I've learned some of what they've been doing and what they're trying to accomplish.
I feel the same way. I tend to remove myself from as much of the squabbles of small deities or more magical or powerful beings as much as possible. It just doesn't seem my place to get in the way of anything. But when I suppose you could call it the natural order of things is being completely abused, and the individual, then in essence, the nature itself is being tainted by these beings. I feel a calling, I suppose, to step in and do what I can to aid it.
Vapos will just nod and say, I can assure you there's nothing natural about what they're trying to accomplish. They speak of balance among the four elements, but the reality is that they twist those elements to their own whims. But perhaps we should keep moving. I don't want to be holding up the rest of the group.
No, of course. Well, thank you, Vapos, for telling me a little bit more about your tale.
Of course, and thank you for telling me a bit about yourself as well.
Finn will nod and finish getting packed up.
With everything packed, you guys set out through the fungal forest. Woadwax will be happy to show you the way, and promises much friendship to the Wanderers, as well as to Finn's circle of druids. What direction would you guys like to be guided in? To the edge of Everspore Forest, at least.
I think we're heading south now, right?
So I'm reorienting. So depending on where assuming we're kind of close to the center there, Then yeah, it would be southwest because we were going to ride the edge of the Fieldlands in 1410 to get to 1310.
Yeah, I think we're in 1409 right now.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm seeing as well.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. If we exit it kind of south by southwest, then we kind of just ride the edge of the Fieldlands in 1410 as much as possible
Yeah,
to
but
kind of cut across there.
Then we have to deal with all the hipsters. Yeah, I mean, we kind of have to travel. We can't really cut a hex in half, I don't think, because
Not really,
of
but
game mechanics. So, but yes, we would be going south, and then once Everspore clears out, when we enter 1410, we would start heading southwest.
sure.
Yep.
Okay. So basically south. More south than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there will be many fond protestations of farewell. And actually, you guys, if you hung around a little late in the morning, you would even get to say goodbye to Deciveth as she returns to the forest. Absolutely delighted and very glad that she did not try to do battle with you guys in the ruins in the plain. But you will be able to travel safely to the edge, and then as you walk out of the region controlled by the gloom, you'll be shocked as your eyes burn with the bright sunlight that the forest is shrouded from to protect all of its incredible variety of fungi. And you will, in fact, find yourselves in rolling farmland. As far as the eye can see, to the south and the west, there are occasional scattered buildings, and then field upon field of growing things. It is spring, and except for those fields which are lying fallow, everything is budding, putting forth flowers, and a young green landscape rolls out before you. There is also a road. There is a road that there's one that kind of peters out at the edge of Everspore, but you can get on that and begin traveling south. It travels in pretty much exactly the direction you want to go. In fact, this road has many people traveling back and forth across it. It has been a long time for many of you since you were amongst anything remotely resembling civilization. For some of you, it's been a very long journey indeed. And there's all sorts of folk, mostly humans. There are some half-orcs and elves and halflings and gnomes and all traveling, in various directions along these roads that kind of wind their way, skirting the edges of the fields. Now, this road is guarded in places, and especially at crossroads. So it is a very, very easy. You are having a very, very easy travel. So you will only need. So not only is it going to be relatively easy, but you only need because it's guarded and at the beginning of your journey guided. You will only need 2 successes before you get 3 failures. So who wants to jump in for that?
I guess I can. I'll jump in with my usual playing a song.
Okay. So as you guys are walking down the road, your spirits are lifted and your feet spurred on by the joyful sound of her bagpipe.
That's a 25.
With a 25, it is a rousing marching song indeed.
And I'm sorry I just clicked my intelligence save.
Then you fail your intelligence save, and the illithid devours your mind.
Oh no!
Well, at least I went out the way that I lived, playing my beautiful bagpipes.
Alright, so you get 2 temp HP. Who else wants to try?
Well, I know that our bird friend is very distracted right now. I don't know what exactly is going on with Akiri, but she seems lost in thought, so I'll take it upon myself to keep a sharp eye on the road. I know that these are well-guarded travel ways, but you can never be too sure.
Alright.
I am not going to do a very good job.
Well, you're distracted by looking at everything all around you.
Generally true.
Yep. Actually, that's a success.
Oh!
Oh, okay. Nice.
Now, as you guys are traveling, you are going to succeed, and you are going to meet several interesting folk along the way. First off, you are going to meet what looks to be a family with a bunch of crates and boxes set up along the side of the road, selling fruits and vegetables. It's kind of almost one family farmer's market along the side of the road, and there are people, other travelers, stopping and occasionally buying something for a couple of coins.
Well, I'll definitely want to stop there and pick up some extra rations.
All right. There's a guy chewing on a stick of celery, who introduces himself as Poblan. And as he crunches, he says, "You look like an adventuring crew."
That's right.
You've got a bunch of weapons and magical-looking shit.
Well, don't worry, we
Guilty
keep it all
as
stowed.
charged.
You can get a day's rations worth of fruits and vegetables for 5 copper.
Oh, that's nothing. I'll pick up 4 days of rations.
All right, you get a bunch.
Mayfruit would also like to.
All right, absolutely. You guys can pick up. I mean, they have a lot of different stuff. They seem to have a rather extensive and varied set of orchards, so you can get some apples and oranges, as well as these root vegetables like celery and stuff. Wait, celery is not a root vegetable, but you know what I mean.
You can eat celery roots.
There you go.
They're pretty delicious.
Celery roots. Poblan is kind of eyeing you, and as you guys are picking this up, and he says, let's see, you're not heading toward Monument, because you're heading south, not northeast. Unless I miss my guess, you could be going down to Arkney, which is certainly possible, but unless I miss my guess, you're actually headed toward the interesting site on the coast, huh?
I guess we must be.
Hunting magical reagent treasure, are you?
Finn will lift up his trusty little notebook. More the informational kind than the reagent kind.
Well, I guess you'll be lucky if you can get near the place. We've had a couple of adventuring parties come through, and even, I think, a squad of Arkengard.
Oh, really? It's a popular destination.
Mm-hmm. Popular indeed. Last I heard, though, some disreputable folks had set up around the dead beast and had claimed it for themselves and all of its goodies. And that's just what I heard.
Disreputable, how?
Well, I haven't been to the lake in some time, but I hear that there's ruthless and unscrupulous folk who make their living upon those cursed waters of Deep Lurk.
I've heard much the same.
Some say they're in league with the lake's master. Or have an understanding, at least.
Really? Do you have any more detail on those types of folks who may be in league with the lake's master?
Sure don't. Just what various travelers have passed along the road. Can't say as I have much details, but last I heard, there were some maybe some criminals, some folk who the Arkengard would very much like to have a word with. But I don't know how that went. I heard that they work for one of the Thief Kings.
Who might these thief kings be?
You never heard of the Thief Kings?
I tend to keep more to the animal life than the humanic life.
Well, there's Misha the Rat. There's the Lord of Razors. He's in the desert. Misha the Rat being in Westhead. I think. And then there's Lady Blackheart. Famous for her mighty strength and big hoop earrings. And then there's one more, Captain Puck LeBlanc. I don't
great.
know, I that's the one that I heard these folk answer to.
Yeah, right. We're familiar with some of those names.
Well, good for you, I guess.
No, not really. It's made our lives fairly unpleasant.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Let me wrap up your fruits and veggies in this bag here.
Just one more question, if you don't mind. The Arknigard that's been dispatched, do you know who might be leading them?
Sorry, leading who?
The Arknigard that's been dispatched.
Oh, who leads the Arkengard?
Arkengard? Yeah.
Yeah, out of Arkany?
Yeah.
Sure. But his name would be in a different folder. So hang on a second.
Now, just what is this folder?
That's what you use when you have a bunch of clothes you want to fit into a trunk, and so you fold them up especially tight. We use them on the ship sometimes.
That would be Sir Evad, I believe. I heard they came marching on through and went to the point of interest. Try and claim it for the governor of Arkney. Of course, we don't fall directly under his jurisdiction.
I see. Well, I certainly would not want to be Sir Evad these days. Huh? He seems to have quite the task in front of him.
Sure does. I wonder what happened to those poor fellers. They had a bunch of magic crossbows on them. Kept shooting off their lightning bolts. Target practice, and we set up some hay bales for them to shoot at.
They had such magical ability that they send their lightning bolts to your hay bales. Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
It blew them up real good too. But yeah, that's the Arkengard for you.
Well, I'll be sure to give them their due respect in that case.
That'd be advisable, sure.
Well, I certainly appreciate all of your help, and not just for the food, but also clearly for the information. And Finn will pass him 5 silver pieces.
Oh, sir, I can't accept that. I haven't done anything for you folks.
He'll leave it on the table and kind of point at the food and say, "That certainly has a lot more value than this." And kind of flip one of the coins. Little metal.
He scratches his head and switches the piece of celery to the other side of his mouth as you guys head off. You will pass 3 merchants along the road who are of potentially particular interest. These are merchants in a caravan that you pass. And, seeing you guys, perhaps word has spread along the road that you are, in fact, an adventuring party heading toward this site of interest. And there's Uaran, who wants to show you his folding boats, boat hooks, cutlasses, eye patches, sea chests, treasure maps, his spyglasses, magic rope, and grappling hook. All for sale. There's another merchant, Baraktar, who sells things to make one unseen. And he particularly goes for a clientele such as you. He sells invisibility inducing potions and cloaks, rings, pickpocketers' gloves, thieves' tools, sharp knives, and the like. And there's a third merchant who also approaches you just as you're starting to see the lake, who sells things that can help you fly. He's notices that you have Akiri with you and wants to know if any of you would like to be able to keep up with her. Potions, He has a glider that he claims can catch the wind. Things that can turn you into a cloud of smoke. And even his prize item, a flying carpet. Quite a richly varied group caravan heading along the road toward Monument from Arkney.
Alright, I know it's probably out of our price range, but I have to ask, how much is the magic carpet?
Looking at your giant black sword and your various other things of obvious magical nature, Ulan rubs his hands together and says, I would accept no less than 550 astral diamonds.
I have 15. Oh,
He looks disappointed. Perhaps something else?
no, to be honest, I'm actually a little scared of heights, and so it was really more of a hypothetical. It's really cool, you know? That's okay, I understand.
Master Ulan sniffs and rolls up the stunning carpet. Okay. Would you guys like to talk to any of the other merchants?
I don't think so.
All right.
Yeah, Vapos is not asking anybody about it, but he's definitely keeping an eye out for if there are people who are selling magical goods and stuff. He's definitely keeping an eye out for just the off chance that anyone happens to have a twin to his Shadow Dragon dagger.
Nothing like that is for sale.
Okay.
There are other bone weapons that will certainly catch his eye, but nothing like that.
Okay.
You guys can actually stay. You could stay in a farmer's barn that evening for just a few coppers each.
Okay.
Well, that might be worth it.
That sounds
Yeah.
reasonable, yeah.
All right. This lady is not quite as friendly as Poblan, but Marna seems rather used to letting out her barn. It doesn't have any animals in it at the moment, and will you guys just mark off a pair of copper pieces each for the privilege.
Okay.
There are these merchants. Some of the ones I've mentioned are traveling kind of along the same road, and so you still have the opportunity, even the next day, to approach them and try to do business if you wish. But otherwise, you head off to the southwest, where there starts to be less and less people on the road, although it's still farmland. It's just less populated, less dense with people as you get closer. And honestly, I'm not even going to make you roll. Like, the travel is extremely easy. But you will arrive within sight of Deep Lurk Lake at long last.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
All right.
And some of you have seen it before, but it is, as ever, quite the impressive deep blue. And it fills your hearts with a sense of creeping mystery as you will arrive there at I guess, yeah, just past midday. Yeah. For some reason, when I was calculating this out, I thought you were going to arrive at night. But that's not what happened. So you would actually arrive just a little past midday, and even now there's a mist that hangs about along the waterline. And rising up like a freakish mountain or hill out of that thin mist is quite a sight. A corpse of a sea beast or a lake beast. A mass of tentacles and fish fangs. And as you approach, the smell washes over you of this creature. It's foul, like a mountain of rotten fish. And it's strange. Like, you can almost taste a kind of weird goo on the air. And as you get closer along the little traveled at the moment road, you start to find corpses. Some of them are strangely damp, as though they'd washed up from the lake. And these are twisted somehow. Like people, the corpses have their fingers like melted together. And their bodies seem to be dissolving. Not rotting, dissolving slowly into a kind of a disgusting turquoise goo. And as you get even closer to the corpse of the beast, you see that there are wooden platforms and watchtowers that seem to have been built in, around, and on top of the tremendous corpse. It's really something. It looks like somebody dismantled their giant boat, their giant ship, and used the pieces to construct this huge, like, station, if you will. And not only do I have a map for this, that I actually have. It actually comes with 2 soundtracks, which I will turn
Nice.
on.
I was really hoping you were going to reveal that you had a smell-o-vision for it, but maybe next time.
Well, this, as always, is by the amazing Chipeku Patreon.
The scratch and sniff is being mailed out.
Of course, Deep Lurk Lake is a large enough body of water that actually has waves that come rolling in along the shore. And there's loud voices that, as you kind of come through the line of jungly trees, carousing. Some of them are shouting and at one another. There's a smell that you can barely smell anything besides the giant rotting Kraken. But there's also a smell of stale beer on the air. And the place is crawling with people who are dressed in all kinds of different clothes, but mainly loose-fitting sailor's clothes.
Yeah, so, I mean, first point of order, I would certainly be recommending that we stay back so we're not, like, in direct line of sight until we at least formulate some sort of a plan. I'm not sure where we are in relation to all this.
There's like a just to the north of this map is like a kind of a muddy track down to the lake, and that muddy track is lined with kind of these jungly trees, like palm trees and such. And it's thick enough that you can kind of just crouch down and be quite well hidden from even the watchtowers built of ship's masts, which dot the shoreline here.
Perfect. Fantastic.
All right. Good night, Mavra. Good night, Danielle.
Good night.
Good night.
Those of you, by the way, who are familiar, who have been to Arkney, will instantly recognize the livery of the Arkengard upon many of the corpses. So you guys are currently crouched down on the muddy track, while there's the sound of fist fights, drunken yelling, and general hard-working chaos coming from the Kraken corpse.
I'll look at Bref and say, I'm having flashbacks to the Pirate Council. Or the Thief Council.
Yeah, except this time I don't have that miraculously powerful liquor, so I don't know how we're going to handle it.
Yeah, also, and I can't believe that I'm saying this, but it actually smells worse.
Debatable.
Well, I'm not quite sure what event you're referring to, but it certainly seems like the people that are up ahead of us are not particularly interested in visitors.
Yes. Finn, I don't know how you want to proceed exactly. A lot of it is your show. We're just here for the ride, but it seems like we might have walked into a little bit of a pickle.
Yeah, Finn is like wide-eyed staring at this massive monstrosity. Like he has not even registered the people yet. He's just looking at this beast. And kind of like snaps to a little bit when you call for him. I don't know exactly what they're doing down there, but based on the fact that they've shut themselves off from any, as you mentioned, additional people coming down to the beach, means they're not interested in sharing this. And if they've killed Arkengard for the treasures of E, as much of a beautiful beast as lays on the shores below us, it certainly does not warrant the ill will that would be brought on, the manhunt to follow of killing who I imagine to be esteemed Arkengard. They would not have sent secondary battalions to come to such an important location such as this. Whatever they're doing must have implications that I think might be beyond the initial perception.
And how would you like to proceed? As Bella said, you're the one paying us, and you. What do you need us to do?
As much as possible, I'd like to try to keep her intact, but we need to vanquish, clearly, or at least learn more about those in front of us. Perhaps some type of I suppose, scouting mission of some kind, some informational gathering might be of order before we just launch an assault on a clearly defended location. What I also simply do not want is for any valuable research or material to be lost in a more volatile fight similar to what we had the other day.
I can certainly understand that. I know Scrap is pretty good at sneaking around, and I know you've got that pretty useful spell. But Scrap seems a bit preoccupied. I don't know that he's going to be the best one for this mission right now.
Scrap is very preoccupied. He is gazing at the lake and seems to be envying the life of a fisherman, a simple fisherman. Also on display, I mean, as the farmer mentioned, every part of this beast is of incredibly high value to rich mages. And you can see them lifting up chunks of its insides on cranes. And there's this spilled purplish ichor everywhere that actually, strangely enough, smells not just fishy but also alcoholic. And that seems to be them, trying to fill barrels with its blood. Or some kind of liquid from within it.
Finwell, upon hearing that about scrap, obviously, take his spyglass out and kind of like motion to just give him a minute. And I'm going to just try to use whatever slight magnifying lens I can to just look and see if I can find where any type of a leadership structure may be. Like if I can find who's giving orders, if I can see people who have higher levels of armor than other people surrounding them, or better looking equipment or anything like that.
Okay. Well, the spyglass will negate the need for a perception roll with its magnification. So go ahead and make an insight check.
One second.
Wow. Okay. Well, it seems very chaotic. There's all sorts of people, brandishing weapons, occasionally at one another, occasionally at just like the sky. There's these guys in the towers, keeping a more careful eye out. Often they are looking out at the lake, as though they fear attack from that direction. You also notice that on these towers are kind of giant directional or hooded lanterns. So they almost have like primitive searchlights. And there's just a riot of all different kinds of people. Over here there seems to be a party happening, and a boxing match occurring, while gold is being laid upon this barrel as bets are placed on which of these burly men is going to fully knock out the other. But with your astonishing insight check, you are going to spot an unusual creature at the far end. So you guys are kind of behind you. So you're peering over this giant tentacle over here, and through the lush greenery. And then at the far end, although it's not so far with your spyglass magnification, you spot a rather unusual looking creature. Almost looks like a halfling or a short elf with wings. But there's something dark and off about her, despite the fact that she's wearing this stunning gold jewelry. And she doesn't seem to be standing on the wooden planking completely, like hovering or floating, bobbing in the wind a few inches off of it. And talking to her is this character. And you see money and a slip of paper changing hands.
So,
that
can I possibly see what or hear what they're saying through? I have the observant trait, so if I can see their mouth and understand the language, I know what they're saying.
Okay. You don't have to make a check for that?
Nope. I can link it. I mean, if you want to have me make a perception check to see if I can see their mouth, obviously very happy to do that, but the observant itself does not require a check.
Well, I would have you make a check, but you do have a spyglass, and you did identify their location with the insight check. That's pretty cool. If you can see a creature's mouth while speaking language you understand. Okay. The winged lady kind of brushes back her long since grayed and faded red hair. And she is saying, you're not quite sure of all the words that she's saying. But she says, you will pass this to your contact for Master Jakas, and as well as the Heartstone, for which you will be well rewarded. And then the captain says something, but you can't see her mouth because she's facing away from you.
Okay. Naturally. Perfect.
And the winged lady says, I don't care. That's not my problem. I'm sure you can build a new grasper. And she raises one grayed and faded, once red eyebrow.
Just to make sure I heard that correctly. Grasper? Grasp?
I mean, that's the best you got, yes.
Okay. One last very quick thing before I start relaying this all to the party. Where, if I can tell at all, where are they focusing any cuts or drilling or anything into the beast?
Well, at the moment, that would appear to be here.
I just want to make sure that this is exactly accurate to where they're kind of cutting in. I'm not super familiar with the exact anatomy of Kraken as well.
Yeah, there does seem to be a corpse of a kobold just inside the mouth. And there's a bunch of footprints, kind of as though some people tried to walk in and out of that thing, but you don't see anyone actually walking in and out of it at the moment. You do actually, as you kind of switch your view over to that area, notice this lady kind of coming up out of this kind of oral canal here, covered in purplish ichor and wielding a giant cutting knife. Cutting knife, I guess, as opposed to the other kinds of knives.
Gotcha.
Cutting implement.
Okay, so yeah, Finn will grimace pretty heavily, and then relay what he just, saw and interpreted from the captain and this mysterious creature, back to the party, and kind of get lost in thought for a moment. If you guys have any initial reactions.
There's so many. If there's one thing that I know these people value, it's money. I wonder, we might be able to strike a deal if we pay them, because we don't. I mean, again, you're paying us, so do you want to put a stop to what they're doing, or do you just want to be free to do your research here?
To be honest, it's potentially a little bit of both. You have to understand, what I'm mostly concerned about at the particular moment is exactly who they're selling all of the goods to. One of the issues and the reason why I requested the potential friendship of our friends in the Mushroom Forest is that these lakes have become increasingly more and more tainted by arcane magics of various kinds. What we see before us is simply a massive reagent used to cast thousands, if not tens of thousands of spells. What I'd like to stop is from that sale to ever occur. I don't know how much money you carry around, but I certainly don't have enough to pay for the price of a full beach Kraken. The price goes far beyond my own head. But then, what I'm also here for is for research, for the ability to study such a creature that has never, as far as my knowledge goes, washed ashore in such a manner. And I'd like to understand why.
Yes, I don't think we'll be able to pay them to stop their harvest, but if we were foregoing that goal, we could probably pay them for access, as long as we didn't take anything. But if you're wanting to stop them, then I think it seems likely to me that force is going to be our only option.
I hate to continue to risk your lives for the things that go above my technical mission from the Aquaval Ever Secretary. But I do not want to know not just what the arcane magics that this would be used for, what damage those spells individually could potentially do, but also what that could do to the continued difficulties, I suppose we could say, of Deep Lurk Lake. If what our fruit seller friend said earlier, and that truly some of these parties may be involved with what he called the Master of Deep Lurk Lake, the arcane power of this beast could be used for a kind of like stammers for how to quantify or qualify what could be used, what that could be used for. Let's just say it would not be good.
I understand, and I don't want to speak for the rest of the group here, but based on what Bella said when we were talking with that farmer, I suspect that most of us here are not going to be having too many issues with causing problems for what was that Thief King's name again that the farmer said was or had an interest here?
Sorry, I didn't quite hear the what king?
The Thief King. That.
Just as you're saying
Pac
that,
LeBlanc.
just as you're saying that, a shout goes up amongst the crew and says, They crack open a barrel of ale and start passing out frothing mugs, and they start shouting, "A drink, everyone! To Captain Horrible Hestia Hanneman!" And this lady in the far corner kind of gets up on a barrel and waves at them. "And for our thief king, Captain Puck LeBlanc!" And they all go, "Oi! Arr!" and take a swig.
Well, there you go.
Things get rowdier from there. They're not going that fast, but or they don't seem like they should be going that fast, I should say. But somehow they are harvesting this thing's spines and internal organs, despite being drunk and chaotic.
Right, so here's what I suppose. What we've got is these seemingly pirates who've no means of escape as they've deconstructed their entire ship for some type of a mining structure. As I've mentioned, they seem to be worried about some threat coming back from into the waters. And they similarly seem to be getting increasingly more vulnerable targets as the day goes on. There's also one more thing that I've not exactly wanted nor needed to share, but based on its proximity to my plan, I think I wanted to bring you in on. I'm not just here only to research. There's one individual material from the Kraken that I do need to bring back were I to be deemed successful to the Aqua Valle Recercatory. Now, every other part I want to research, and then I want to, as safely as I can, in essence, dispose of. But the one good that must be studied by minds significantly sharper than mine is what's known as the Heartstone. The Heartstone is a deemed very valuable good from the Kraken, but seems to be a lot of confusion around exactly what it may do or might not do, or more importantly, exactly where it resides. It's a part of a mistranslation. He kind of like waves his hand in the air from a lot of history behind it that we can certainly discuss in the future. But the Heartstone does not exactly reside in where I believe our friends down there believe it resides, being the heart, which tends to be, as you know, right somewhere behind the gills. Based on where they're focusing, I think they're, and from what I read from the lips of our winged friend, seems to be that they're trying to find the Heartstone exactly where you'd expect it to be. But the Heartstone is actually, according to the direction given to me, closer to the stomach, actually. That buys us a little bit of time, but it won't be too far or too long until they determine that the Heartstone is not where they want it to be, and continue to scour the beast until they do find it. So perhaps what we could do is set up some type of a ambush, if you guys are comfortable fighting at night, when they may be a little bit more inebriated. and they may have conflicted fears of inland versus from the water. What are your thoughts there?
I think that's as good a plan as any. It also might be that the work has more or less ceased during the evening, in which case we might only have to deal with a few guards before the alarm is raised.
That certainly makes sense to me.
And I would never say no to slaughtering some more folks who work for Puck. I mean, if we happen to run into her herself, even better. These people are a stain on the world.
Given the unexpected circumstances we find ourselves in here, as well as the information that I felt the need to withhold for hopefully obvious reasons, I'd like to add a slight deviation to our arrangement, I suppose. If you could assist me in regaining the Heartstone, as well as assuring that no major sale of assets from the Kraken gets sold off for magical or other arcane purposes, I could happily add a sum of 1,000 gold to our preconceived arrangement. Does that seem fair given the circumstances we find ourselves in?
Certainly. We'll do our best. I do think that a night approach is our best guess as to the most effective plan at this point. In which case it might be to our benefit to rest for the rest of the day, find someplace that's a little bit safer, and keep our strength until we need it tonight.
That certainly makes sense to me. We should make sure to keep a very close eye on any continued movements, as well as keeping an eye on the water, especially as it begins to get darker. Hopefully, any ships traversing would have some type of a light on board, though if they're coming here for the intent of removing the current host of folks here, then perhaps they would travel dark. But we should keep an eye out regardless.
Does anyone else have any objections or thoughts about this plan?
All sounds good so far.
It certainly makes sense to me.
You mentioned earlier that you may have had some dealings with, if not some of the leadership we find ourselves in front of, but perhaps some of their cohorts in the past. Is there any information that you know of that might be helpful to us? Do you perhaps know anything at all, even rumors surrounding this winged creature?
The winged creature I don't know much about, although I have to admit I get suspicious whenever I see a red-headed halfling woman hanging around these pirate types. There have been more than one run-in with some extremely powerful sisters, so I wouldn't be surprised to learn that she was related to them. As far as Captain Puck LeBlanc goes, she's quite a terrifying person. She has, well, the last time we ran into her, if I recall correctly, was in Westhead. Am I remembering that correctly?
I think so.
In any case, these Thief Kings are nobody to fool around with. We laid siege to their big gathering a few months ago and managed to rescue a ship full of slaves that they were attempting to deal in there. They are much given to debauchery, but I wouldn't underestimate them, even when they're at their wildest and most intoxicated. They're still very proficient fighters who it took not only all of our fighting ability, but also all of our wit in order to escape with our heads.
Well, it seems like we'll have a fight cut out for us then.
Yeah, I don't mean to be discouraging or anything, only to let people know to, keep your head on straight while we're dealing with these folk, because they really know what they're doing. You don't get to be a thief king by being sloppy.
The warning is well heeded.
But that being said, the last time we encountered the Thief Kings, we encountered like 4 or 5 of them all at once. Whereas in this case, we seem to only have one that we're dealing with, so hopefully that'll be a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, again, not that we can just run in willy-nilly, but I feel pretty confident that we can get the drop on them and cause some productive chaos in their midst.
Is there the way that the beach line continues, are there any further obstructions? I'm thinking primarily the way that the Kraken is facing currently. Would there be any major obstructions from line of sight from the people kind of in the watchtower of the beach area as it goes along? Like, does it curve in various ways? Is there anything else that could get in the way?
Oh yeah, there's some big rocks, and there's this sort of thick line of jungle trees. So anything north of this map is basically you're golden in terms of hiding. The nobody on watch is going to be able to see anything much past the northern line of this map.
Okay, yeah, I was also just thinking.
It's also very bad for fighting because you would be squeezing pretty much anywhere along the northern side of this map.
That makes sense. From the western direction, is there, does anything continue down to the beach line, or is it just a straight, normal beach line kind of going along?
It's a very gentle and open area to the west, very exposed.
And I assume same thing to the east, or I guess the east is water, never mind.
And the east is water.
Okay. So, one last thought. If I could potentially be accompanied by somebody who could try to move a little bit more sneakily with me. Before we begin the encampment here and the potential siege, I suppose, I'd like to get to the water. I'm hoping if we stick to the top side and kind of follow the trees, hopefully we can get to the water without any significant line of visibility. And I think we have some time before the sun continues to go down, and we need to rest for the evening. and regain our strength.
I could go with you.
All right. So you guys are gonna sneak off and like go to the beach?
Yeah,
at a
and
different
and
point?
you know, I wasn't just saying only one person. So if anybody else wants to come, please feel free.
Oh, I don't think I would be very helpful in the sneaking.
Okay. Are you guys going somewhere out of sight of this area?
Yeah, I mean, assuming we have enough time based on the exact time of day
Right.
to,
It's a little afternoon at the moment.
yeah. So I think we would take a roundabout way to get to the water without, you know, any potential line of sight from where the Kraken is, and then be able to be back in time for kind of early evening so we can rest with the remainder of the party.
Okay. Yeah, you guys can head off. As you go, you kind of stumble over what looks to be the campsite of a researcher who came here. Kind of has mage's robes, and there's various bottles and tools for to experiment yeah, on reagents and so forth. But whoever it was, hasn't been back in a while, and the place looks kind of looted for valuables.
Okay, well, any supposed invaluables of research notes or anything else that Finn thinks could be of use, he won't spend too much time trying to read through anything or, you know, look at everything in particular, but he would certainly scoop up what made sense for him to scoop up to
Sure.
look at as he gets back to the camp.
All that there is the cover of a journal that looks to have been torn off.
Okay, is there okay, so it's a journal, gotcha. Cool, yeah, well, he will certainly scoop that up and look at it in detail when he gets back to camp.
All right. You guys head down to the water, and you find that the water of Deep Lurk Lake here is foul. There's something off-putting, and you can instantly tell that drinking it would be a bad idea.
Can Finn and like think of any reasonings for the foul nature? Is it from the offspit of the Kraken? Is it anything else that he might know of?
Well, of course, it's possible that a powerful supernatural creature like the Kraken could have done something to the water with its corpse. But you observed this as far away as the northern edge of the lake. And this time you can't blame it on civilization.
Does Vapos recognize this sense of like corruption of the water? Like I'm remembering when we first got attacked by the Whisperer's assassins, and we had to go to that pond because Vapos was feeling really sick. And does it feel like that, or
No, it gives you a very different kind of feeling.
okay?
As of something that this is time. It's like it has like a it almost numbs your nerves touching the water. It's very uncomfortable.
Okay.
And it kind of, it's almost like the water has just got slightly more water tension than normal. Like there's like a viscous, just very thin layer on top of it, like an oil slick.
Yeah.
Invisible, but there.
Okay.
Very unpleasant. Your memory is jogged, though, about somehow the foulness jogs your memory a little bit about a name that Finn mentioned on reading the lips.
Master T'Chas, potentially, if Vapos recognizes that name.
Oh yes.
It was something like that.
Wait, you said Master Jakas?
T'Chas, yeah.
Oh dear. I didn't. I must have misheard you at first. Um. That that certainly. We can't let these pirates give them what they want. I'm not positive about. He was my master at the temple. He was a servant of the Whisperer. But I'm not entirely positive about his involvement there because he's the reason that I'm not with the temple anymore.
What could he possibly want with something to do with the Kraken? Do you have any type of idea? Does he even operate out of this area, as far as you know?
The last time I saw him, he was far to the northwest of here. But that was months ago. And as far as for what he could do with a piece of a Kraken, yes. I where the Defiler, his power lies in fire, the Whisperer's power lies in water.
And he'll kind of like run his hand through the slick water, the oily water that he's next to. Would I be safe in assuming that it would not be nice, natural, purified water that he draws his power from?
Whisperer stole her power over water by taking something precious from the elemental plane of water. She stole a piece of that plane from, as far as I could tell, from Aphisti herself.
When you finally mention that name,
Yep.
a wave kind of slops up on the shore and curls around your ankles. And somehow, in a way that you can't quite explain how you sense it, there's something sad about the wave.
Is that something that Finn would notice as well?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Finn will kind of like lock eyes back with Phapos, and he's going to reach in and, or kind of reach in front of him and draw. You've seen him do this before in the midst of combat, but he'll do it just slowly and kind of methodically. And he'll draw the constellation of Aphisti, kind of the cresting wave, slowly, and as he hits each point, the same kind of shimmering of where the stars are inside the constellation kind of shine out dimly in front of him, and he'll just kind of nod in acknowledgement to Vapos.
An unusually large wave for the lake comes up on the shore, getting you guys wet up to your knees.
It would seem to me that Feasty has something that she wants to tell us. Something that, I should say more appropriately, that we should know. Do you have any ways of communication with her?
Nothing direct, but I could. I think I should try going into the lake.
Before you do, just to ensure its safety, perhaps there's one thing I could do. I would hate for you to get hurt based on my curiosity. Finn is going to walk over to the lake and kind of pull a power from inside himself that does not appear to be of any of the same type of magic that you've seen Finn cast. And he is going to absolutely pull the soul of the Silver Fin out. And he's going to use it to try to commune with as much of Deep Lurk Lake as he possibly can using that soul. I don't have it on my character sheet, but you had mentioned that it was, in essence, utilizing like commune with nature, but specifically for a pool of water.
Okay. I think that gives you 6 questions.
3.
3 questions. Okay.
Yeah, so it's you instantly gain 3 facts of your choice of specific types of things. So the first thing I want to know is, are there...
can we assume the rest of the party is here too?
Sure, absolutely.
You guys come up,
Yeah.
yeah? All right.
Yeah.
We started to get word because they were gone a while.
Exactly. So you come up right when he pulls out the soul of the Silverfin. Or perhaps during Vapos's speech.
Perfect.
While he's communing, Vapos will catch the rest of the group up on what happened.
Okay, great.
So the first thing I want to know is, are there any significant ships heading directly or close to directly towards the Kraken from whatever radius of the lake I can commune with?
The spirit of the lake is quiet. Its voice weary, almost as if half asleep, as if something were weighing it down. But from deep, deep, deep down in the darkness of the lake, some part of it that has not yet been fully fouled you dredge up an answer that no, there are no ships on their way here that could possibly come in time, as the flagship of Arkney's fleet is still under construction, and Colossus Harbor isn't sending anyone here.
Finn will certainly sigh with sadness and frustration at that. He'll then ask what the taint, the corruption to the formerly pristine waters of Deep Lurk Lake is comprised of. What's made this happen?
The lake's Deep Lurk's master. Who has reawakened after 1,000-year slumber. The pale shadow in the deeps. His slime. Is the source.
Okay. And then getting increasingly more scared, Finn will continue to commune with his last question of who woke, or for why has the pale shadow awoken?
To obtain full mastery.
To obtain full mastery? That's terrifying. Okay. Was the communion with the resounding soul of the Silver Fin fades?
Yeah.
Finn will obviously relay all this kind of immediately to the party, just directly based on what he's spoken and heard.
Sounds to me like we need to resolve this as quickly as possible.
Finn, looking again, scared, not scared from a conflict like you may have seen him in previously in some of the skirmishes, but scared from a more existential threat, seemingly, to him. Kind of nods in acknowledgement. I have no idea what possibly could rise to the level of waking a beast such as that from a 1,000-year slumber. But if nothing else, I've learned that I do not think there's any harm, Vapos, in you trying to commune with the Feasty in whatever way you possibly can, because we could certainly use her help to gain better understanding with what we're dealing with here.
All right, I'll see what I can find. and Vapos is gonna go into the water.
Okay. As Vapos submerges in the water, he is going to become nauseated.
Mm-hmm.
It is foul. And as it breathes, through your watery skin, you are going to be full of the idea that you have got to get out. As you turn and start to swim away, it's almost as if the water becomes thicker, like mud or sludge. And looking over your shoulder, you see, or think you see, some long, pale tentacles reaching out and swimming past in the shadowy deeps. The rest of you, as Vapos is coming back out to vomit on the shore, are going to hear a horse hooves coming along the path, the muddy path, headed in the direction of the Kraken. And you will catch a glimpse of a young man riding along, wearing the livery. Those of you those of you who were at the Goblin Village know, wearing the livery of the old Imperial mail service from the Veye Empire, and carrying their characteristic large backpack full of letters. He does not seem to have any sense of what he is riding toward. And folks, that is where we are going to call it for this evening.
All right.
Well played. That was fun. Can you believe I actually thought that we might get through the whole Kraken adventure session? I'm always wrong. But that was a lot of fun, and I think you guys deserve some experience points for role-playing and plan making. I don't think that I'm going to hand out very much for travel this time, since I didn't even make you roll for one of those.
Yeah, that was very light travel challenge.
Very light travel. But I think with the role-playing XP, the excellent role-playing and plan making that you guys are doing here, I think we are going to go ahead and give you 100 XP per level each.
Cool.
So enjoy. I know I'm going to just let you all go to bed, so thank you to anyone who watched this or watches this after the fact. You are awesome. Thank you for supporting the stream. Thank you to Jeremy, player of Beref. Thank you to Kirsten, player of Bella. Thank you to Corey, player of Vapos. Thank you to Lucas, joining us for probably his penultimate session with Finn. Thank you to Mavra, who always has to leave us early, but she'll get caught up on the action by the others. And, we'll hopefully have the full, at least we'll have Scrap and Akiari back hopefully next week. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed that map and the music from the awesome Chipeku Patreon, and I guess that's it. Until next time.
Bye.
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 Good night, everybody.